All right, I say to you one more time, welcome. If you follow me today on Zoom, welcome on Zoom. If you follow me on Facebook Live, welcome on Facebook Live. And if you see this later on my podcast, Thrive Not Survive After Sexual Abuse, then welcome there too. With episode 99, it's there, guys. So that's super exciting. Tomorrow on my podcast, it will be episode 100. And we are starting a brand new series there. We'll not continue with that today, but we'll definitely continue that later on this week, which is about the 6 needs that everyone have and needs to meet in their life. So that's kind of interesting, right? But it's not the topic of today on Facebook. Welcome, Irene. We hope you turn your camera on because we always like to see your face, right? But maybe not today. Maybe not today. Are you there, Irene? Also no microphone. Okay. So anyhow, you might see why I have this little thing above my head, right? Because it actually suits the and if you see me on my podcast, you don't see it, but I have like a little halo around my head, right? I'm not going to sing that song from what is that? Yeah, Beyonce, right? Halo, halo. Well, let's not do that. Let me not sing. But the topic of today, what do you do and what do you feel if someone calls you a liar and you're not lying, right? If someone calls you a liar and you are lying, right? Then that should not be such a big deal. But who who have not experienced that in their life that they didn't want to believe you, right? Who not? Everyone has experienced that to more or less in their life because and then you meet someone, you're a liar. So it could be something serious like, I have a headache. No, you're not. Like, okay. Wow, we could make a lot of jokes here again. But see, I don't know what it is, ladies, but if Hans is on the line, it brings the worst out of me. And I don't know why I started with headache because I could have known this, right? I could have known this. So, a lie is, of course, is that. So it could be a simple little lie, but it could be way worse, right? It could be something really bad. Now, remember when we talked about 2 weeks ago about the imposter syndrome, right? Where we actually all feel a little bit that, maybe they kind of call us out that we are a liar, right? So do you remember that? If you're a dance teacher, then maybe you're afraid that someone recognizes, oh, maybe you're not that good after all, right? We have all these little things in our mind, and we call that the imposter syndrome. And the imposter syndrome is actually nothing else than calling yourself a liar constantly. Like, you're not that good, you're not that pretty, you're not that smart, and, okay, you got this job, but it was all luck, right? You just had, you had the right people around you. So if you start to believe you're online, it could become very, it's just a little bit of repeat what we did. It could go really far. Some people actually lose all their own self-worth because they start to believe, their own stories in their head. So that's one part. So it would be a very logical step to then also call further with that imposter syndrome. If someone truly calls you out and say, "Hey, Jean, you're teaching here, but I think you don't know anything about what you're telling here." Oh my gosh, that could be a very sensitive thing, right? That could be a very sensitive thing. Now, in the beginning, when I was teaching, I'm teaching as a good example here. I was a little bit afraid that people would do that to me, right? I was a little bit, and I have a student. I have a student in here in Dallas, and he's called. His name is William. I mean, there are many Williams in my class, by the way. So we don't know who I'm talking about, but he always says, "Is that exactly the way it is also in the curriculum?" Not to call me out, right? But he's okay if I tell something different than what's in the curriculum. And he literally walks in with the curriculum in his hand, right? So, and the guy, I mean, he's an okay dancer, and he's a lot to learn. He knows he's actually very nice, person, but he runs his life through knowledge. The more facts he knows, the more security he feels. So that's what he does. So he comes in the class with the curriculum. So if it's ballroom, he has the green book in his hand, and then you say something. Let's say it's a quarter term. Is that true for the from the curriculum too? And you know what it does to me all the time? I have to think about. Was it 1/8 or was it? I mean, I know what I want to do now. That's not a problem, right? And that's okay. But now I want to give him an answer like yes. And so often I find myself after class looking up if I was right, and I'm always happy. I'm like, oh my gosh, he didn't find me so. But if sometimes it's not, and I'm actually now that I know him after a few years, I'm really cool with it. But in the beginning, I couldn't stand the guy. I'm like, what the hell, right? Follow my dance classes, right? So, but in a way, he actually hit me on a little bit of a spot that makes me uncomfortable, right? There's no teacher. I mean, there are a few top level teachers, and they know literally every page in the book, and they can tell you exactly why. If it comes to Latin, seriously, I'm pretty good at it. I can say that. But you can still make me nervous. So really, is that what it is? Is it ball flat or is it ball? Is it ball flat or ball flat? Yeah. Ball. Oh yeah. I mean, you have to think about it. So someone can make me nervous, right? I have a good front, and so that is nothing else than calling me. I think that he wants to call me a liar, but it's absolutely not true. William is not like that. He doesn't want to call me a liar. He really wants to learn. But the fact that I'm already a little bit insecure in that area, someone makes a remark like that, and suddenly I think, oh, he's calling me a liar. Oh, you don't believe me? So in the beginning, I must say, we had recently a little talk about it. I reacted also not so nice to him because I was assuming that he didn't react nice to me. Now, the questions that he asked, you had to learn that too. We had to be a little bit more careful in the classroom because the class, most people in social dancing doesn't even know that there is actually a book where that's all written out, and that dance teachers actually study that, and that's why they can call themselves a dance teacher. So it makes a lot of students not comfortable because they think, oh, we have way less knowledge than those two people, right? So I try to say, ask those questions, I'm okay if I don't know, but ask them a little bit more in a private setting or in people that we know. Does that make sense? So there are many situations where someone calls you a liar, or you believe that they call you a liar, but they actually hit you on the spot where you already have a little bit of imposter syndrome. If you're a new teacher, you are a little bit insecure. So when someone makes it tricky on you, that's one thing. If you're a new blogger, Danielle, you have that. Someone says, so now if I blog and I make a little typo mistake, okay, that's fine. A little language mistake, right? That's fine. It happens to everyone. But in the beginning, I would completely freak out. I remember my first Instagram, my second Instagram live, and I had the camera wrong side. I had the camera landscape right, and Instagram Live only works when you have the camera portrait. But it looks just nicer landscape, and when you record it, your camera doesn't tell that, right? It doesn't say Instagram right. So then you look back at the recording and you think, man, I'm all the way like this. And I remember calling Irene, it's just literally months ago, and I completely freaked out. And she said, what's the big deal, sweetie? Why is it such a big deal? And I want to do it over again, and all these people think, oh, I'm an idiot. And see, that's where it is. Because I already believe that people think that I'm an idiot if it comes to these kind of things. I mean, secretly, I believe that, right? See? And so I have a little bit that if I do new things, that I want to do it almost immediately perfect, right? I have that in me. And remember, a few weeks ago, a few days ago maybe, I made this post and I said, we all will suck at everything that we start. And it's a good thing, suck away, so to speak, right? Make mistakes. As long as you keep falling forward, it's a good thing, right? But that's where we get sensitive. So, like I said, I did a bit of talk with Danny. I just started for the second day or so your blog. I still your blog. I still hope you're blogging, Dan. But and if don't, that's fine too. But just keep at it. You will be horrible at it at days. You might say, oh man, is it what met date or mate? You might write it wrong, and yeah, some people might think that oh man, she doesn't even know how to write Dutch properly. Who cares? Those are not your people you want to talk to anyhow. Does that make sense? Fine. Good riddance. Glad that you're gone. Does that make sense? So you need to become resilient in that, but so that imposter syndrome can stay with you for a long time, but definitely in the beginning, and you get it. So that's when you were called a liar, right? So if you truly tell a lie, okay, let's not talk about that, and then you start to know, in the Netherlands, let me try to translate this for our English friends first, so that we can all laugh. But in the Netherlands, we call that a turning button. You are turning button. Je bent aan het draaikonten. Yeah. So people who actually tell a lie and try to cover up the lie, and it could be little things. We call it in Dutch, we call that draaikonten, and if I would translate that, it would be like something like turning button. And so you kind of, and you can. Everyone knows this person is lying. I said, well, and I do that sometimes in lesson too. That I say, yeah, but in some specific situations, and and you come up instead of just saying, ah, actually you're right. That's just that was just wrong. you know, that's a much easier reply to it. So in case you are listening to this and you heard about it wrongly, then if someone calls you a liar and you're actually a liar, the best way is always immediately admit, right? All right, so now there's another level. If you are remotely doing a little bit active on social media, and I am doing that publicly, I have my business on social media and so on. Oh, that's not a good word. CEO, that's a really bad word. That's a really rude word. you can use that in English. I mean, if Irene reads this, she said, "Oh my OMG." That is not a that is not a good word. Yeah, that would be that's a really bad word. You would insult someone very deeply in the United States, at least. Um, but anyhow, so if you are just so active on social media, and if you're a blogger, or if you're like me, you do a lot of things like this, then people can call you also a liar, right? And then maybe it's just a little bit of skill thing. So what do you do? What do you do with that, right? So first of all, check if you are truly lying or not, right? See if there's something in them that actually is a little bit true, right? So always check a little bit why do you react in that way to the way you do. That's in all situations. Most of you have been with me for a while now, so it's always before you react, check why you want to react that way. Why do you want to be angry? Why do you want to cry? Why do you want to run away when someone's lying to you? Is there maybe more truth in that lie than you actually in that saying that you actually dare to admit, right? So then you can, of course, define what your following action is. And my halo is there because I never lie. See, the halo is still there, so it's true. Yeah, if the halo would suddenly disappear, then that was not true. And and then is how do you react to social media? And I give you, in a moment, I give you an example. Literally, something happened to me yesterday when I was preparing this, and I don't know why these things coincided, but it's just what it is. And so we have a tendency, hey Irene, we have a tendency to defend ourselves. And I tell you this, most of the time when we defend our lies, the other person start to believe that you are a liar. Does that make sense? Do you see the psyche behind it? So if someone calls you a liar and you defend your lie, you say, no, 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 I'm not a liar, then people might think that, oh yeah, now he's right. So turn S in decent translation. Yeah. Okay, C-U-N-U-N-T. I hope you know the differences between those two really well. I said it now on internet, but that could give problems if you don't know the difference between one. Well, let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. And I'm sorry, guys. I see that's why I don't have a large following, because it always gets to these weird places, right? Which, no pun intended, by the way. No pun intended. That's even funnier. But let me pick up where I was. Yeah. So if you have the focus on is, are you lying? No, I'm not. You kind of have you give the other person actually start to believe more that you lie even more. Now, how strange is that, right? How strange is that? So in social media, actually, I didn't behave so in the correct way that I'm telling you right now. But in social media, a much better strategy is to let it go. If they put in your comments you're a liar like that, just let it go, right? No, don't let it go emotionally, by the way, because that's what you read. Like 9 out of 10 articles that I read about this, they say, it's very simple. If someone calls you a liar, just let it go. Yeah, I mean that's nonsense, because that doesn't work, right? I know I should let it go, but that doesn't mean like it worked, right? That's like if I throw you in a swimming pool and I'm drowning, I cannot swim. Just swim. I mean, that's equally dumb. Does that make sense? That's a no. That's no advice. No, you need to do, okay. Why do I react like this, right? And then you can, depending on where you are called a liar, then you can find some tactics and strategy to deal with it. If it's in a very personal situation, like with your dance partner, saying you were offbeat, and the other one, and you said no, I was not. It's not calling you a liar. The other person just believed that you're offbeat. So it's not. She didn't call you a liar, right? But you take it as a lie. When you take, oh, you call me a liar? No, call you an idiot because you're offbeat, right? So you need to take it also. Do I literally listen well, or do I have a sensitivity in being offbeat, which I know I have, right? So if the other one comments me, I immediately am more like this, where maybe Irene just say, I didn't say anything, I just thought we were upbeat. It's just like a remark, right? Why the what's the big deal? So know your own sensitive points, and then, oh, you don't trust me, I'm your teacher. I could go give all kind of stupid things on that remark that was just saying, I believe we were offbeat. That's all. That's all she said, right? So take it the way the other one said. Now, what if he didn't say it so nicely? Fine. Doesn't always mean that you have to react nasty back too, right? Happens too, of course, right? So, so that is it. Why do you react so strongly if someone calls you a liar, or when they say that it's not true, or things like in that area, right? But if they do it publicly on social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever not, now what do, right? Think about the same principles count a little bit. If you immediately start to respond from a very strong emotional point of view, I'm not saying you should not be emotional, but the question is, what do you do with the emotion? The other person might actually believe, see, I'm true. And sometimes on social media, they just want to get a rise out of you. Yeah, they just want to get a rise of you. You bite on it, they ask you the next question. So if you, for instance, say, let's say, William, he's never doing that. William, if you're listening, this is a fictive William, but he puts on internet. John doesn't know anything about Latin technique, because yesterday he told me yada yada yada, and I said, so that's so not true. Then he might question, okay, can you send me please the page of the book, right? He's trying to, can you tell me the teachers who taught you that? He's trying to lure you into a discussion so that you start to prove you're not a liar. And believe me, strangely enough, on the internet, that's a really good way to get a lot of your information that you know and get to them, right? So that's be a little bit careful that some people truly play that lying game for you to get some sort of a negative comments around you. So that's one thing, right? So that happens. You could talk about that if that affects your business. We can talk a little bit about that. But we often want to do that when we start to defend us, and before we know, we give them way more information than they want, right? And that's, by the way, it's a serious, smart way to get a lot of private information that you actually didn't want to share on social media. Yeah, we can go over that as well. So that's a little bit of sidetrack, but in my own little practice, just yesterday, I had maybe a real or maybe an unreal opportunity to work with someone in a coaching situation, and in my best assessment, I think it was a really bad fit. It would not be good for me, and it would not be good for her, the potential client, to work with it. Right? Work with her. And I don't care how much money she wanted to spend. It didn't work, right? For me, that client and me, it didn't work. So at some point in time, I just say, I'm sorry, we cannot talk anymore. I don't think this is a good idea. I took it a little bit too far to already talk too long with this person because I really wanted to help that person, and I think she really needs help. So it was just a little bit harder to assess than I normally did. So, but this person kept texting me and kept calling me with all kind of different numbers. At some point in time, she started to use really bad names at me, and I just had no other choice than to literally block that person. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I know only maybe 2 or 3 people in my whole life that I ever felt I need to block them, right? I guess that's not how I operate. But in this case, man, my phone was like, like I don't know, I told Irene, it was call after call, and then she took an app and then made another phone number so she could call me from that number, right? It became like weird. So I had to block her. I had to also block her from my social media even because the moment I blocked her, we saw all these angry faces that you see on some of my videos are all from that person, and and but I blocked her, and then also some comments came in there, and I wanted to get that all away. I want to even Irene said, cut it all away, and then I start. I said, it's actually it doesn't really fit my character. It doesn't fit well with me, right? So I can say, okay, it's one person out of all these persons that I reach, but the honest truth is, and that's where you come back to that point where people say, yeah, just let it go. No, yeah, of course, yeah, I know I should let it go, but it's also a little bit my pride, right? Is that it's not how do we say that in English? It's not an entitlement, right? It's not like I am a good coach. I don't care if they think I'm not a good coach. That seriously is not a big issue for me at all. But if they start to say things that are not true, even if I know that most of the people they don't care, they know that it affected me on a personal level. I don't even know the person. It still affected me on a personal level. So here it is, guys, for you guys who are getting into coaching and maybe need some coaching. Just acknowledge that. Don't become the coach or the teacher who said just let it go, because that's a really hard thing to let it go. Just it's always the reaction that you have to it, but you can still acknowledge to yourself, man, that affected me on a deep level. It did to me. Now I have some good people around me. The first one how I called was Irene, and said I just read her the whole message. It was like I did 10 minutes of craziness, right? 10 minutes. I did that to her, and then I decided to block. And then after that, when I was preparing this, I started to read some more articles, and I came across this article of this man, and he's from, it doesn't really matter, but he has a little bit of an Indian background, like India as the country, India. And he had this nice philosophy, which is actually also my philosophy, but since I was so emotional, I forgot to put my own skills into practice. Now, who cannot actually testify to the same thing? That you say, do as I say, not do as I do, because, sometimes you don't see it to yourself. And this is the thing. I always say, everything is welcome. Everything is welcome. Sometimes when it's ugly, it's still welcome, right? You just look at it, maybe there's something. So what I did, I pushed that person a little bit away, and I'm telling it more as a lesson, right? Not to do that. What I could have done is just let it go, and just let it go in a sense of let it stay there, let that negative comment stay there. And this person actually advised you just like the comment. Like the comment, even say thank you for your reaction. You don't have to react towards it, but you can say, okay, at least you took the effort, because a lot of people don't even take the effort to write a comment on my video. This person at least took the effort to write on my video, so maybe I should thank her for that, right? I thought that was a really interesting approach. And actually, when I couldn't do it anymore because the comment went away, I can block her, but I can deblock her, but I cannot get the comment away. But I thought, actually, that is actually showing how my true heart is. My true heart is, I maybe, according to Irene in this case, I already went too far with this person in trying to do that. But that's a little bit how I feel I always should do. And so you try to stay true to yourself, and I found a way to show what my true emotion was. Don't do that in public, don't do that to that person even, right? But just a little bit, I call it immediacy, is showing a little bit that as well. So, and then to close this topic off, we'll make it in half an hour again, to close this topic off. In the last couple of weeks, I had a couple of lessons myself about coaching principles and what do well, and I respect the person that teaches me to more than any teacher. That's my number one teacher that I follow. There is something in the a little bit, and sometimes that's necessary in the approach of therapists and stuff like that. I struggle with it. I probably don't cast this post this question to someone else, to this person, because I feel sometimes we leave the emotions too far out of it. So as a coach saying, okay, I hear you. You think I'm a liar. That's cool. Yeah. So that's why if I would do that, you think that's so unnatural. Okay, that is your point of view. I understand that. Yeah. Yeah. But, we are humans. And even if we are in a professional situation, I don't think to an appropriate level, and what it is we can talk about, you should always show a little bit that you're hurt by it. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to take it so far that it becomes a street fight, but you can definitely say, this is where I draw the line. I don't, you start to use words to me that are a word like you just wrote, Hans, that was used to me. That's for me where I draw the line. That is not the way we talk. You can make a joke about it. That's different, but that's not the way we talk. That's where I draw the line. And the strange thing is, guys, specifically for if you're teaching, I am the person who's drawing the line and then redraw the line. And I redraw the line, right? So I'm a little bit a person who often say to my kids, and this is the last warning, but I already said that for 10 times, right? So my dad this is the last warning, and it's the last warning, So that, like, okay, there's the last warning, and the next one will be very hurtful. But I'm a little bit like, now this is the last time. Our partnership is over. So yeah, no more dancing, and no more nothing of all that. And then see, that's a little bit know yourself in these situations, right? So I need to do that a little bit stronger. Or if I say it, then make sure that I really mean it, right? So that's really where I close it off. I am a little bit a liar, indeed. We all are. Does that make sense? We are all liars. That's why it hurts so much. But in this case, I said that at least a few times in our relationship, Irene. Okay, no more dancing with us, no more partners, nothing. But then, of course, 5 minutes later, I'm just an idiot, right? At that moment, I was a little bit a liar. But at some point in time, she either says, you know what, I'm sick of hearing this, you might come back on it, but I won't. Or she says, yeah, he says that, but I know it's not true. But once you let these things come in your life, we're all a little bit liars to some extent, seriously. Some things are called white lies because, if you know how it is, Hans, Belinda comes down, has a new dress on, and she says, what do you think of me? That really nice, it gives you a really nice figure. Oh, you think normally I have a bad figure? You cannot do this right. You cannot do this right? So don't even go there. Pretend that you don't see it, right? Yeah, you say, yes, cool. You think this is a nice dress? Yes, I think it's a nice dress. Don't give anything away, Hans, because it's a little joke. But this is where we are a little bit liars, right? Oh, no, you told me just this morning that I look good, Irene. So is that a lie too then? Yeah, that's a mind we can never follow. Does that make sense? Yeah, yeah. All right. So that's it, guys. What do you do when people call you a liar? A quick recap. Don't pretend that it doesn't hurt you because it most of the time it does. Doesn't even matter that it's a complete stranger. It's one of the hardest things to deal with when people are a liar. If you truly can let it go, great. And you're the better person than me, but most people can't. So that's not a good thing. Just check for yourself why it did something to you. Maybe there is even some truth in that person that you think is a liar. Maybe it's not a big lie. Maybe it hits you on that area that I call your imposter syndrome, right? So what does it do to you? That's always different than how you react, right? You can still react normally even if you're in the inside, depending on the situation that you have. And and sometimes you think, oh, actually, yeah, you're right. Just then admit it, right? I actually didn't even see that I was lying, right? So in the next time, if I say to, no more dancing, no more partnership, Irene, then maybe she might say, okay, let's check this. If you mean it, then you mean it, and then it's over. Oh, no, 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 actually, I didn't mean it. It's just, I just said it. Does that make sense? So also be a little bit tougher on yourself because it goes both ways. All these things are always both ways. Right? Like if I analyze that situation with this person, I could have handled that differently, and we wouldn't have come to that point where she got all this angry at me. I mean, that's completely unwarranted why she got that angry at me, but I could have handled it differently. And actually, I got very quick indications that that coaching relationship would actually never work. Very quick indications, right? So there's always two sides to all these things. All right. So this is the moment for you people on Facebook to say bye-bye. You have just like 5 more seconds to call me a liar, right? If you want to. And I promise you I will not block you or put your put your comment away. If not, then I hope to hear you back next week at the same time at the place here, 12 o'clock Dallas time. If you cannot get enough of me, then maybe you want to hear me on Instagram Live. It's still at 10 a.m. in the morning in Dallas, which is 5 p.m. in the Netherlands. For the people on Zoom, I'll will continue the discussion, and for the people on my podcast, I'm saying bye bye. I hear you tomorrow for episode number 100.